Eupen Malmedy or Eupen Malmedy is a predominantly German-speaking region in eastern Belgium. It consists of 3 cantons around the small cities of Eupen, Malmedy, and Sankt Vith and measures approximately 282 square miles, 730 square kilometers. Eupen Malmedy is often known as the East Cantons, French, Cantons de l'Est, German, Ostkanton, within Belgium. Part of the Kingdom of Prussia following the Congress of Vienna, and later the German Empire, the region was allocated to Belgium as part of the Treaty of Versailles after World War I. It was placed under a transitional administration to prepare for its full incorporation in Belgium, culminating in a controversial plebiscite vote in 1920. In 1925, the territory officially became part of Belgium's province of Liege. Annexed by Nazi Germany during World War II, the territory returned to Belgium in 1945 and is still part of Belgium today, where much of the region is today part of the German-speaking community of Belgium. Historically, those territories have little in common. The northern part around Eupen was originally part of the Duchy of Limburg, a dependency of the Duchy of Brabant, which was latterly part of the Austrian Netherlands. The southern part, around Sankt Vith, belonged to the Duchy of Luxembourg. The small village of Manderfeld-Schönberg belonged to the Archbishopric of Trier. Malmedy and Waimes, except the village of Faymonville, were part of the abbatial Principality of Stavelot-Malmedy, which was an imperial estate of the Holy Roman Empire. By the 19th century, the majority of the territory spoke German, while the city of Malmedy was split between French and German speakers. In 1795, as the French Revolutionary Army entered the Austrian Netherlands, the area was also taken over and eventually incorporated in its entirety into the French department of the Our. The Prussian Administration, 1815 to 1919. At the Congress of Vienna, the whole area was awarded to the Kingdom of Prussia. In the northwest of the area, Morsnet, coveted by both the Netherlands and Prussia for its calamine, was declared a neutral territory. After 1830, the 50% guardianship of the Netherlands was taken over by newly independent Belgium, and this remained so even after 1839, when Belgium relinquished its claims to neighboring Dutch Limburg. This change did not significantly affect the inhabitants of this region. Even in the mainly French or Walloon-speaking Malmedy, changes went smoothly since the municipality was allowed to continue to use French for its administration until the Kulturkampf, when the authorities forbade the use of French. For instance, during a visit to the city in 1856, the King Frederick William IV is believed to have said, "I am proud to have in my kingdom a little country where people speak French." For the people of Malmedy, this would eventually change when German was implemented as the only official administrative language. This was no problem in Eupen and St. but more so in Malmedy Waimes. There was some resistance to the interdiction. For instance, Roman Catholic priests who were forbidden to preach in French started to preach in Walloon in order to avoid having to preach in German. Most of the territory had spoken German or German dialects for centuries, with Walloon being spoken by about 2/3 of the population in the district of Malmedy at the time it was newly created in 1816. The overwhelmingly German-speaking district of Sankt Vith further south was, in 1821, united with the district of Malmedy to form a new, much larger district of Malmedy that then had a majority of German speakers. According to the December 1, 1900 population census, this new district of Malmedy had only a minority of 28.7% Walloon-speaking inhabitants. The smaller but more populous district of Eupen was almost entirely German-speaking, with Walloon and French-speaking minorities making up less than 5%. At the beginning of World War I, Most of the inhabitants of the Eupen and Malmedy districts considered themselves German and fought for the German Empire during the war. Provisional Belgian Administration, 1919–25. During World War I, Belgium was invaded by the German Empire and, between 1914 and 1918, much of Belgium's territory was under German military occupation. With the defeat of Germany in 1918, Belgian politicians attempted to expand Belgian territory at German expense. However, the settlement at the Treaty of Versailles proved disappointing for Belgium. Belgium failed to gain any territory from the Netherlands or Luxembourg, but was awarded the small German colonial territory of Rwanda-Urundi in Africa and Eupen Malmedy in Europe, together with the previously neutral territory of Morsnet. At the time, Eupen Malmedy had approximately 64,000 residents. Although the Belgian government attempted to depict Eupen Malmedy as an ethnically Belgian territory, many Belgians were suspicious of the move. In 1919, a transitional government was established for Eupen Malmedy by the Belgian government. It was headed by a Belgian general, Herman Bolscha. Under the terms of the treaty, Belgian control over the territory was contingent on the result of a local plebiscite, held between January and June 1920. The plebiscite itself was held without a secret ballot, and organized as a consultation in which all citizens who opposed the annexation had to formally register their protest. Just 271 of nearly 34,000 eligible voters did so. The League of Nations accepted the result and the transitional government prepared for the unification of Eupen Malmedy with Belgium in June 1925. Integration into Belgium, 1925–40. In June 1925, the Eupen Malmedy was finally incorporated into the Belgian state as part of the province of Liege. The inhabitants of the region voted in its first Belgian general election in 1925 and returned a vote in favor of the center-right Catholic Party. A local center-right party, the Christliche Volkspartij, Christian People's Party, emerged by 1929. The early Belgian administration of Eupen Malmedy was paralleled by secret negotiations between Belgian and Weimar German government of Gustav Stresemann over a possible return of the region in exchange for money. The negotiations collapsed in 1926, following the German signature of the Locarno Treaties, 1925, guaranteeing Germany's western borders and international pressure. Various ethnic German organizations emerged in the Eupen Malmedy region in the late 1920s, campaigning to promote German culture and the return of the territory to Germany. After the rise to power of Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party in Germany in 1933, agitation in Eupen Malmedy increased and many inhabitants began to wear swastika badges. Local socialists began to distance themselves from calls to return to Germany. In 1935, an openly pro-Nazi party emerged locally, known as the Heimat Front, which achieved a majority in all three of the Eupen Malmedy districts in the elections of 1936 and 1939. Annexed to Germany, 1940–44, in World War II. Nazi Germany invaded Belgium in May 1940 and rapidly defeated and occupied Belgium for a second time. On 18 May, Hitler announced the reintegration of Eupen Malmedy into Germany. The Belgian government in exile, however, refused to recognize the German annexation and maintained that Eupen Malmedy was part of Belgium. Administered as part of Nazi Germany, 8,000 local men were conscripted into the German armed forces, of whom 2,200 were killed on the Eastern Front. Support for the German takeover eroded sharply after the German invasion of the Soviet Union. The region suffered severely during the Ardennes offensive of 1944–45 and Sankt Vith, in particular, was nearly totally destroyed by bombing. Return to Belgium. 1945 present. After the war, the Belgian state reasserted sovereignty over the area, which caused the male inhabitants of the area who had served in the German army to lose their civil rights as traitors to the Belgian state. After the war, the Belgian authorities opened 16,400 investigations into citizens from Eupen Malmedy, representing around 25% of the region's entire population. In comparison, the figure for the rest of Belgium represented less than 5%. After the war, demands to return Eupen Malmedy to Germany faded. The first regionalist political party, the Party of German-Speaking Belgians, PDB, emerged in 1971 to argue that greater autonomy to be given to Belgium's German speakers within the newly created federal state but not for regional secession. The PDB's campaign culminated in the creation of the German-speaking Community of Belgium in 1984, which provided cultural autonomy to Belgium's 70,000 German speakers along the same lines as those already negotiated for Belgium's Dutch and French-speaking communities. The 9 German-speaking communes of the East Cantons form part of the German-speaking community, while Malmedy and Waimes are part of the French community. There are protected rights for the minority language in both areas.